I was waiting for the release of the new M2 iPad Pros because I have been wanting to get the 12.9-inch iPad Pro and use it as my second device. But when it was announced, the upgrades were pretty underwhelming. So I did something I have never done before, and I started to consider the MacBook Air. I've never had a MacBook Air before, but after weeks of using it, I'm convinced that it's a better second device, and I'll share my reasons with you in a moment. Apparently, only 3% of you guys watching are subscribed to the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button right now, hit the notification bell. I have some exciting content coming up that I know you wouldn't want to miss. So let's establish what I look for in a second device. I want something that is portable, and I want something that I can use to do different things required to run my business. For the longest time, the iPad has been the default option for me. As an architect, it really helped me transition to a paperless workflow. Carrying a set of drawings is a breeze. Sketching, redlining, and viewing 3D models became more convenient to do. I can be on the couch, at a job site, or on the go. It has a great battery life, great display, and when paired with great accessories, it makes the iPad even better. So what made me switch to the MacBook Air? Well, I have 3 reasons why I think the MacBook Air is a better device, and I have 2 reasons why I think you should go for the iPad. Quick disclaimer, these reasons are based on my preference and my use case, but regardless, I think they should help you in your decision making. So let's compare Apple to Apple. If you want to get the same spec MacBook Air and a 12.9-inch iPad Pro with M2 chip, 512 gigs, 16 gigs of RAM, the MacBook Air costs $1,599, while the iPad Pro would be $1,399. But to make the most out of your iPad, you need some accessories. There's the Magic Keyboard, which is $349. It has a nice keyboard, nice trackpad, and it gives you this extra USB-C port that you can use for charging. And of course, there's the Apple Pencil, which is $129, which is amazing for writing and drawing. The iPad Pro with the accessories brings the total up to $1,877. That's a difference of $278 in favor of the MacBook Air. And not to mention, the MacBook Air is actually lighter than the iPad Pro and Magic Keyboard combo. For the longest time, the MacBook Air was marketed towards students and people who just needed a laptop. It was good for basic use, but if you need to do anything pro, the MacBook Air was never something you would consider. But after the introduction of the Apple Silicon, it really changed the game. The performance ceiling of the MacBook Air just got a lot higher. All of a sudden, a thin and light entry-level laptop can run professional programs. Meanwhile, the iPad received the same chip, but for my personal use, having an M2 chip on an iPad didn't really present any real advantage. My 2020 iPad Pro can pretty much do most, if not all, of the same tasks. Although companies started to introduce an iPad version of their app, it's just not there for me yet. Every time I do anything more than light tasks on my iPad, it always feels like I have one arm tied behind my back. I find myself thinking, if I had a laptop, I can do this much faster, and this brings me to my next point. This is probably the most subjective point here, but I am simply more efficient when I have a laptop versus when I have a tablet. The MacBook Air allows me to run programs that I use every day to work. That means no relearning, no adjusting. I can just pick up where I left off, and I don't have to stop and try to remember how to do a specific thing. For example, in my architecture work, using AutoCAD on the iPad is really just a viewer. I can only do basic things like measure, erase, cloud, and if I quickly had to revise my drawing, I have to wait until I get back in the office. But with my MacBook Air, I can do anything and everything. Not only can I revise my drawings, I can do full-on construction drawings if I have to, create 3D models, recreate PDFs for contractors, and so on and so forth. For content creation, LumaFusion on the iPad has been great for initial edits, but since I only use it during travel, I honestly forget how to do things. With my MacBook Air, I can run full Final Cut Pro, edit my videos without losing productivity, and most importantly, I have access to all my presets and plugins like the ones for motion VFX. These plugins are something that I invested in and makes my workflow a lot more efficient, a lot more fun. It saves me a bunch of time, and that's important because time is money. I could spend more time working than trying to recreate certain movements, titles, or transitions. You get the point. If I only had my MacBook Air with me for the day or for a week, I can do some serious work in every aspect of my business. However, if I only had the iPad Pro, I can't say the same. I'll be very limited in what I can do. I've been using the M2 MacBook Air for over 2 weeks now, and I'm seriously impressed, and that's why I think it's the better second device for me. Before I talk about the 2 reasons why I think you should go for the iPad, let's talk about the sponsor of today's video, NordPass. Protecting your personal information is important, but what's equally important is where you store that information. Writing it on a piece of paper is definitely a no-go, and simply storing it on your phone or your computer, it's definitely not ideal. Another common mistake is when people use the same password for their favorite shopping website, social media, and bank account. And I get it, it's easy and convenient, but just imagine how much access a hacker could have by simply knowing one password. But you guys are pretty smart, and I'm sure you already know what NordPass is. But just to remind you, NordPass is a digital life manager. You can store all your passwords in one place so you don't have to memorize it. You can securely store your credit cards, personal information, notes without worrying, because NordPass has advanced security features like checking leaked data, identifying vulnerable passwords, and even generate complex passwords for you. NordPass is a zero-knowledge password manager, which means only you can see what's in your encrypted vault. Yes, even the NordPass team can't see it. Get an exclusive NordPass deal with 1 additional month for free by visiting nordpass.com/JohnImperial, or you can just use the code JohnImperial at checkout, or just check the links in the description below. And I just want to say thank you NordPass for sponsoring this portion of the video. The iPad is a versatile device. It's a jack of all trades and a master of some. I know of students who use their iPad as their main computer for schoolwork. I know of business people who run their business entirely using an iPad. And I know of creators who run their channel using an iPad. And so there's no reason why this couldn't be a good secondary device for you. You just need to know what you need to use it for. Using the Apple Pencil to interact with the iPad has been my favorite. Writing, sketching, and photo editing provides a satisfying experience. There are some pro apps like Lightroom or SketchUp for iPad that work really well. The ability to switch back and forth from tablet to laptop mode without losing performance is just incredible. You can also use the iPad as a second screen, and universal control makes that experience seamless. And in my opinion, the major advantage the iPad has over the MacBook Air is cellular connection, and that alone could sway a person towards the iPad. In this video, I was primarily referring to the 12.9-inch iPad, but if the size isn't for you, or if you don't care about the chip, then the other iPads offer an even better value. The new iPad with 256 gigs is only $599, and if you pair that with the new keyboard in the first gen Apple Pencil, it's only $947. The iPad Air with 256 gigs is $749, at a keyboard in the second gen Apple Pencil, and it's $1,177. And I think the iPad Air is a sweet spot between price and value. I think the second gen Apple Pencil is a much better solution. At the time of making this video, I think there's very little separation between the iPad and iPad Air versus the iPad Pros from a usage standpoint. I think Apple will try to widen that gap, and I think the introduction of DaVinci Resolve on the iPad is a good start. I use Final Cut Pro, but I've seen some videos and it looks very promising. That gets me excited. But I'm actually confused why Apple didn't introduce Final Cut Pro first to the iPad. It seems the more obvious thing to do. But I'm speculating that they're probably trying to get some Windows users to get an iPad or transition over to the Mac. Anyway, I fully expect Apple to blow us away next year with the new generation of iPad Pros. So what's my recommendation? If you resonated with any of the statements I made about the MacBook Air, then it might be the second device that you're looking for. A thin and light laptop that can do light to medium tasks well, and even run your professional programs if you need it to. If those reasons were not relatable to you, then maybe the iPad is better for you. A versatile device that offers a unique experience, especially when paired with proper accessories like the Apple Pencil. A jack of all trades and a master of some. You really can't go wrong with either one. I love both devices. There's pros and cons to both, but let me know which one you would rather have, the MacBook Air or the iPad Pro. If you made it this far into the video, please type in iPad Ultra in the comments below. Let's confuse everyone else. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.